Hey everyone, Ivo once again. I am back with another video, another movie review, another sequel, and of course it's gonna be me defending an underrated sequel, Too Fast, Too Furious. I don't understand why this movie gets so much crap, gets so much piss on it, gets so much dragged to the mud. I don't understand why this movie is so bad. Sequel. I love this movie. I love this movie a lot more than the first one. And this is the sequel to the first one, The Fast and the Furious. And I prefer this movie over the first one. And this will be my fourth favorite movie in the franchise, my favorite movie by Paul Walker, because Paul Walker's character was always my favorite character, Brian O'Connor. He was always my favorite character. And Paul Walker did a great job in this movie. He took over the franchise and he did a great job. And I don't understand why this movie is so bad. I don't understand. When I watched this month for the ranking of the Fast and the Furious, all the 10 movies, because there were 10 movies now, all the 10 movies, and this was always listed as the last one. In every ranking, it was listed as last one. I don't understand. But to each own, I mean, people said it's the trash movie. What's so trashy? What's cheesy? What's trashy? What's trashy about this film? What's the story is so bad? Well, the pacing for is actually the pacing is actually it's all over the place. Where's the pacing? I'm sorry, but I love this movie to death. It's one of my favorite Fast and Furious movies, in my top 5, and I consider this movie much better than the first one. That's just me, but I don't understand. I don't know why get such a bad movies. I mean, even FF9. Yes, FF9, the new movie was listed better than this movie. Better than this movie. Explain to me why is FF9 better than this movie. Explain to me why is FF9 better than this movie. I want to know why is FF9 better than this movie, or just F9. The 9th installment, or was actually 10th installment, because there was Hobbs and Shaw in it. But explain to me why is F9 with John Cena better than this movie. It has tons of shitty CGI. The story makes no sense about that film, because after 20 years, we find out now that finally Dom has actually a brother that he was never mentioned. Not in the first movie. He was never mentioned in any of the movies. He was mentioned that he had a brother. But after 20 years, we find out he has a brother from nowhere, which makes no sense. And the gang now goes to space. Yes, Ludacris and Roman, they go to space. They go to space. Now they made Fast and Furious like a James Bond movies. They fucked up. And after Paul Walker, rest in peace, he passed away, which is so sad. It was just went downhill, and I'm tired with those sequels after sequels. It's just terrible. That movie is a trashy movie, and it's really sad that 10 years after this movie was released, Paul Walker died in a tragically car accident. And I really miss Paul Walker. With Joyride, this is my favorite movie he did. And I love Paul Walker to death. And like I said, Vin Diesel, he said no. He rather do Triple X. You know what? Vin Diesel, I'll choose this movie over Triple X, which is better than your Triple X, better than when you did that movie Return of Xander Cage, or the second movie, They Kill Off Your Character. And Vin Diesel said no. He declined the offer to return $25 million. He said no. He said that they didn't do approach like Francis Ford Coppola. I mean, this franchise is not a masterpiece, And he said that the studio did like they did the 80s and the 90s sequels. So what? I enjoy 80s, 90s. What's wrong with that, Vin Diesel? And I don't know why the actresses Michelle Rodriguez and Jordana Brewster were not asked to return, maybe because the studio didn't need them. And another problem was Ja Rule from the first movie. He played Edwin. They actually asked him if he will play Tage. Tage Parker, the character, but he said no because he didn't. He was just egoistic and he was way too big. He turned down the $1 million, the deal for the making this movie. So director, he cast Chris Bridges in this movie as Tage Parker, which became one of the favorite characters, but. Ja Rule said no. He did not answer the calls. He didn't care. Later when Paul Walker died, Vin Diesel then he said that he kind of regretted, even the script sucked, which he doesn't. That he would walk away. I disagree with him. I mean, I just don't. I miss this kind of movies, that it has. That's actually about cars, fast races. Not that they're now like James Bond, just like they did in the Fate of the Furious, the 8th one. Like now they're like they're saving the world. They're James Bond now. They're saving the world. Vin Diesel is now James Bond now. I'm tired of it. I love that they go back. I love that it has different story. It's not the repeat of the first movie. It's different story. It's something different. It's something different, the character, which I love that. It's explanation why Brian left Dom in the first movie go, why he let him go. It explains a lot more than the first movie did. And I love that it has different characters. What's wrong with that? I love that they go back to the basic with those stunts, not that now CGI, but they go to the crazy stunts. Nowadays we have like completely different everything, like all CGI overplays. This movie doesn't have a CGI. Okay, it has no, it doesn't have any CGI. It actually has a lot of stuff in the film, a lot of crazy stunts. I love that he got 2 new characters that the franchise. Chris Ludacris and of course Tyrese Gibson with Roman Pierce, which is another favorite character of mine in the whole franchise beside Brian O'Connor. And we also did got Sally. He's not listed, but Chris Ludacris Bridges as Tage Parker, which I love him. And we also got 2 other actresses like Eva Mendes as Monica Fuentes, and we also did got Devon Aoki as Suki. I really miss Devon Aoki. She was a model. I really wish that she would be in more movies. She was in Sin City, and she was in this film. And it's just, I really love this movie to death. And definitely my top 5 favorite. This will be number 4 as my 4th favorite film, in the franchise, because I really enjoy this film a lot. And yeah, Too Fast, Too Furious is actually different. It's a different. I love that it's a different movie. It's different. It's completely different story. And former disgrace cop Brian O'Connor, when he's now a former, he's a disgraced cop, and because he let the bigger criminal go, he lost his badge and he's now a fugitive. And he goes to Miami and he drives the fastest car. And many of the stunts, Paul Walker he returned. Vin Diesel, he laughed in the studio. He said he turned down the role. He didn't fucking care about the franchise. He was laughing at everyone. Paul Walker, after he finished Timeline, he accepted the role and he continued the story and he carried on. And there is no Too Fast, Too Furious. There won't be any sequels. And I think this movie is fucking underrated. This movie got nothing but a piss from fans. Actually they aren't fans or fanboys. So what if I'm a fanboy of this film? I love this movie. Definitely, I miss this kind of action movies nowadays. Yes, it's PG-13, but there's no sex scenes, no nudity, no sex scenes. It's completely different story, different movie. And John Singleton, he directed Boys in the Hood. He directed Rosewood and Shaft. I saw those two movies. He did a great job directing this movie. And John Singleton, rest in peace. I can't believe it that 3 years ago, yes, 3 years ago, the director passed away. And he did a fantastic job. I thought that Paul Walker did a great job. I thought that Roman Pierce, that Tyrese Gibson did a great job. He was in Transformers, the trilogy. He was, Tyrese Gibson, he was in many good movies. But he did a great job as Roman Pierce. In my opinion, I don't think that performances were bad. Eva Mendes, she was in Fast 5. She had a cameo scene. She played Monica Fuentes, a federal agent of the United Customs Service. Customs agent. She was actually a customs agent. And the movie is about, catching this drug lord, this drug lord in Miami, Argentinian American drug lord Carter Veron, who tries to get away clean with his illegal money, probably in Mexico or whatever. He wants to escape. And of course, Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor, former now disgraced cop, Brian O'Connor, he gets catched by that harpoon. I just miss that, when we see those race, when we see once again the race, they took that in FF9, they took the race away, they took everything away in FF9, even in part 8, it's just nothing. It's just so confusing. Part 8 and 9 to me are so confusing films. Even the fourth one is kind of confusing, but this movie is a lot better because I understand it's an action film, and of course it's about, and of course, like I said, former Paul Walker returns. He's a former cop, Brian O'Connor, and he's racing. And we also Amory Nolasco. He was in Street Kings. He was in Prison Break as Fernando Sucre. He was in Transformers, the first movie, and he was also in this movie as I wrote down his character. He was Orange Julius. He was one of the racers, and I love when Suki or Orange Julius and the other actor Slapjack are racing with Brian, and Brian that time he was actually driving a silver Nissan Skyline GTR N34, and it was actually a gray Skyline Nissan, and it wasn't his own car. I think I forgot, it was his agent, I forgot, but he drives the car, and that's an awesome scene. There's a great scene. All four, the first race, all four drivers, even Suki. I miss that. I miss those kind. I know this came out in 2003 when I actually was in high school still. But I miss this. I miss this kind of movies when it wasn't so confusing as fuck nowadays. I miss that. They go and race, and there's a bridge scene in which Paul Walker jumps with the car, and Suki also jumps with the car. That was practical. It wasn't CGI. It was a real practical stunt scene, the bridge. And of course, no one was actually hurt because they were dummies in the cars. That bridge jump. And of course, I wrote down. They actually did with the remote control, and there's a dummy in the car, and no one was hurt. But that was real, They actually built reinforced with Rolls cages for the bridge scene. They used a remote control, And yeah, and many of the stunts, many of the drive scenes weren't in the script. Actors improvised because John Singleton told them improvise. That was awesome. And yeah, that was awesome, this movie. And of course Brian wins, and Suki goes second. She at least goes second. And of course the cop shows up and Brian gets arrested because they use that electrical. It's not the real, it's a fictional, but they actually used I wrote down the ASD harpoon launcher, electrical system disabler, which is ASD harpoon launcher. And of course Agent Markham, played by James Remar from 48 Hours, he's in this movie. He uses that ASD the ASD the ASD harpoon launcher. He uses the ASD harpoon launcher, fires it, he disables his system, he gets arrested. And Agent Bilkins, played by Tom Berry from the first movie, returns as FBI, and they give Paul Walker's character, Brian Connor, a deal that they want to catch him, Carter Verone, the vicious and ruthless drug lord who wants to escape with his money from the customs. And I just love that, I love this movie. And because Monica Fuentes, she's actually played by Eva Mendes. That's Monica Fuentes, played by Eva Mendes. She's actually, she's actually a customs undercover U.S. Customs federal agent, and she actually works for Carter Verone for a year. And they want him, they actually want him. And Carter Verone is looking for a fast drivers, or street racers. And that's where Brian O'Connor shows up. His picture shows up because they need one of the greatest stunt drivers, to catch the bigger fish. In order all pardons for every crime that Brian did, and his file should be clean. And so because he needs someone, he picks up he goes and picks up his own car racer, and that's Roman Pierce from Barstow. And I love that that Tyrese Gibson returns. He took Tyrese Gibson. He took the role as Roman Pierce. And we know more about Brian. We also find out more about Brian, that he was in Barstow, and of course now Roman hates him because he got arrested. He had a stolen, he got like in possession his stolen cars, and he got arrested. Since then he hates him. He calls him pig and spits at him, but because because Brian needs him, Roman takes the job, in order that his records, both of the records, are clean. So they do this job, and they go for the audition, they actually both go to audition for the role of for the job, for Carter Verone. Carter Verone, he picks all the drivers and says, there's actually the shipyard, the cops impounded my car, but the car is not important. What's important is inside. I left it in it. It's a small box, and the first team that brings it to me gets the job. And they all go, they all race, they all go races. And I love they race in the cars. they go to the Roman and of course Roman and of course Brian, they go the first one, and this guy, grabs the guy with his pistol, but the cop shows up, and I love when Roman grabs the gun, shoots on Agent Markham, because they then go to Tage, and his friend Dennis he's actually a mechanic, and they're like all wired. The cars are all wired, and they took them from the cars all wired. And the other car that of course Brian was driving was 2002 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 7, which was a green car that he got. And of course Roman got 2003 Mitsubishi Eclipse Spider GTS. But I love Brian's green car, which he was driving the car, and because they knew, they got the job, they go to this club, and there's actually this guy who's a cop, and Carter Verone grabs him, and Monica, she has to grab the guy, and he gets the rat in the pocket, the pocket, the pocket under the rat, and he uses that makes fire, and he tortures the guy. He needs a 50-minute of clear link, and the guy says, okay, I'll do it. He has threatened him because he's a cop, and once the deal is over, Monica goes in the shipyard, the yacht in which Brian sleeps, and she warns him that Carter is planning to kill both of them when the deal is over. And I love, when Brian and Roman, they go and they start driving the car. They have a race to get those two Camaro cars, which I love that. I miss nowadays when we do have street races. I miss the street races. I miss the street races, which is simple. It has street races. Why can't we get street races nowadays? So they get like the plot was from the beginning. So the street races was awesome. Brian O'Connor, he beats the guy. They got the cars, and they actually built ejector seat they built, and of course it's actually about the money, the drug money from Carter Verone, because he's fleeing the country, and Customs Service Agent Markham, he wants them. He wants him and the money, and both Brian and Roman are actually with their cars. They're actually transporting the illegal money out of the country, and you have a great scene with cars. There's a great car chase scene, police cars. Everything was practical done, no CGI. The actors improvised. There are a few crashes, and both of them, Paul Walker and Roman, they did their own stunts. Tyrese Gibson, they did their own stunts. There's a guy from helicopter. He uses a harpoon launcher. Of course, he uses the harpoon launcher. ESD harpoon launcher. Electrical system disabler. It's actually a fiction. It's not realistic. It's a fiction. But they do use the ESD harpoon, and he fires, on Paul Walker's car to disable Paul Walker's car. And I love the scene how Paul Walker, he grabs with a bandana with his arms. He just takes that ESD projectile out of his car. And the guy is holding the wheel, and he grabs and throws in the police car, which I love that scene. That's a great scene. They go escape. They go to this garage, and the cop shows up. They surrender. Then the other car shows up, and they destroy the cars. While of course Brian and Roman with other two guys the other two bodyguards from Carter Verone, they actually changed the cars. They went and they changed the car. They actually changed the car, and of course, was actually a Camaro, a blue Camaro and orange Camaro, and a lot of scene when they actually go to the different midpoint, not to the shipyard, meantime, Agent Markham and his custom service agents, they go to try to catch Carter on the airplane. No, they're not in the airplane. It was a decoy. It was a fucking decoy. And I love when Roman, uses ejector seat, throws the guy out, out of the car, but then turns out it's actually a decoy. And Brian's not coming. When he finds out Dennis, Brian's not coming. It was a setup. Carter Huron was one step ahead of them, ahead of custom service, and of course, they go to the different point line, and of course Carter knows that Monica is undercover agent, custom service agent, and Brian, he brings the rest of the money, and then he orders, Carter orders Enrique to kill Paul Walker's character Brian. And Brian tries to use that ejector seat but doesn't work. At that time, Roman shows up, crashes in the car, and Brian fights the guy off. I love the scene. He goes, fights the guy off, and they both go, kicks the guy. Roman helps him out. They kick the guy's ass, which I love that scene. What's wrong with that? They go in the blue, Yanko Camaro. They go in the car, and Carter Huron with Monica Fuentes tries to escape with a yacht. The guy tries to escape with his money with a yacht, and I love that scene, the bridge scene when with the Camaro. There was only one. There was no outtakes. There was only one shot, and they drive with I think it was a stunt driver. They drive with the car, flames over the car, and they did such a better stunt than Gone in 60 Seconds ever did with Nicolas Cage, because this movie was better. They did a great stunt. Roman and Brian, they jumped on the bridge and off the bridge on the yacht, and I love the scene when Carter Huron goes with his shotgun and he tries to shoot both of them, and Brian uses a 6-hour pistol, goes shoots him right in the shoulder, and he wants the great practical effect, great blood squid, really great effect. But great, crazy stunt. I love the stunt when Brian and of course Brian and of course Roman, they jumped off the car, landed the yacht, and Brian goes and shoots Carter Verone right in the shoulder, which is awesome. I thought that the movie was awesome. I thought that this movie was better. And Monica shows up, grabs a shotgun, and she points on Carter Huron. They catch him. The guy is scared. It's better than the first movie when Johnny Tran was killed by Paul Walker's character. In this movie, he gets wounded. But Paul Walker did a fantastic job in this movie. So they both bring the money from Carter Huron, and they catch the drug lord. They finally catch him, and their records are now cleaned. They're now free. They're both free. Of course, Robert, he's still a little his money, but not a lot. And I love it. Has happy ending. It has happy ending. The actors did a fantastic job, and of course, Paul Walker as Brian O'Connor, badass. He did a fantastic job in this movie. I love the street races. I love that the movie is more it's more easy, that it's more simple, more understandable, that it's not confusing. I love Roman Pierce, another character of mine, which I love him in this movie. And mostly for the part, there's no CGI, it's practical, crazy stunts. Stunting work very well. John Singleton, rest in peace, he did a fantastic job directing this movie. The cast was awesome. Suki, played by Devon Aoki, Suki, she was awesome. Yeah, there is a scene when the cops, they're chasing the Nissan and Mitsubishi, both the cars, but they find out that was driven by Suki and Tej, because now they got probably arrested or parking tickets. But it was just awesome stunt. It was an action film. It's different than the first movie. It's not a repeat of the first movie. Eva Mendes as Monica, like I said, in Fast 5, she had a cameo scene, only one scene, but she did a great job. Monica Fuentes, she did a great job. Dan Aoki, I really miss her as Suki. I miss, like in the open scene, they have a great car chase. I miss that. Chris Bridges, he did a song, Act a Fool, another one of my songs that I enjoy, was, of course, I think was Act a Fool. That soundtrack that's actually on the end of the credits, which I actually really enjoy. I know I wrote down somewhere soundtrack, Act a Fool by Ludacris. I love that song, Act a Fool, on the end of the credits. I love the opening scene. I also love his hair, Ludacris' hair. I enjoy Ludacris' hair. They actually cast 50 Cent, but I think 50 Cent didn't want to be in this movie. I'm glad that Ludacris Bridges was in this movie. Also, credits story was Gary Scott Thompson from the first movie. And of course, Michael Brandt and Derek Haas, they did a screenplay, and was actually also the part of the credits is Gary Scott Thompson from the first movie. And like I said, Michael Brandt, Derek Haas did a good job. Amory Nolasco, he did a great job as another street racer. I think you can barely see him in this scene. This guy, Slapjack, he did a good job. The actor, Michael Ealy, he did a good job as one of the racers. I love the bridge, the scene, the bridge scene when Brian jumps with his Nissan, and later Suki, she jumps off the bridge. I love that scene. They did a great job. I love that scene when Brian and Roman drove with the car off the bridge, landed right in the yacht. I love that scene, my favorite scene in the movie. So what's wrong with that? It has a great music score. This time was replaced because the first music score, I forgot the first music score, but this time the music score was by David Arnold, which was actually from the different composer from the first movie. But I don't understand the hate for this movie. So the budget for the costing for this movie was $76 million, while the first movie cost $38 million. This was $76 million cost the movie. Worldwide they made $236 million, which was even surpassed the original movie. James Remar, as the cast, James Remar did a great job as Agent Markham. I like him. From 48 Hours, he was a bad guy in this movie. He did a great job. Cole Hauser, I hated Paparazzi. If you watch Paparazzi, that movie sucked. I hated him in that movie. In this movie, he's a bad guy and he gets arrested. I mean, I love that he wasn't killed. No one was killed in this movie. It was awesome. Devon Aoki as Suki was awesome. She was great. Eva Mendes as the actress. Eva Mendes as Monica Fuentes. I wish she would be more in the franchise. She was awesome. I have really enjoyed. I really enjoy the film. I mean, I love it when Brian goes with his 6R pistol, shoots Carter Ron in the shoulder. He tried to kill her with a shotgun, but he fires a shot, which I love that scene. The cars I enjoy the cars. That's actually Nissan, that's the car similar that he was driving, that Paul Walker was driving. Suki was driving a pink car, which was awesome. I love that it was actually the plot about this film was simple, And I don't know why is this movie so bad. Why is this movie ranked the last one in the last ranking? I mean, no CGI in this movie. Now they like all the CGIs in the next installments. This movie has no CGI, crazy stunt. We got two great characters, which later became, they came back. We got like Tage, played by Chris Bridges, and of course Roman Pierce, one of my favorite characters by Therese Gibson, which both of men did a great job. I mean, I enjoyed this film. And it's an action film. It's about a drug lord who tries to escape the country. And customer service feds, they actually go and they try to capture him. And I don't know what the fuck is wrong with that, but I love this movie a lot better than the first one. A lot better than FF9. This movie kicks the balls limit of FF9, or F9 or whatever. Fuck F9. Fuck that new installment. Fuck that movie. Fuck Vin Diesel. Fuck his new movie. Fuck those people who hate this film. Fuck those people who say, oh, the plot is terrible. It's terrible. Oh, it's the last one. I'll put this movie in the last ranking. Oh, it's my least favorite. No, it's not my least favorite. I enjoy this film. Hell if I enjoy this film. Too Fast and Furious does not deserve a fucking hate. It's it's PG-13, but it's much better film, better story, great characters, great performance by Paul Walker, great direction by John Singleton. Rest in peace, John Singleton and Paul Walker. I miss both of them, and I'm sorry, but I love this movie more than the first one. I really do. I love this movie more than Part 6 or even 8 or 9. I love this movie more, and this is my favorite. This is my movie. This is my favorite movie. So I don't understand the hate for this film, but to each own. No one is rotting here. But I love this movie a lot. I love this movie. I'm always gonna watch this movie more than the first one. Too Fast, Too Furious, badass film to me. Yeah, I said it, badass film. But yeah, I think that I already said everything that the cast did well. I mean, I'm glad that Paul Walker, he returned. He returned. I'm glad he returned. Vin Diesel disrespected the franchise. Paul Walker didn't. He returned. I love that the plot is simple. The story is simple. But yeah, rest in peace, John Singleton and Paul Walker. And that's my review, and of course me defending underrated sequel. I don't understand, I love the scene there when Brian goes with a pistol, shoots him, Carter Verone. I love that. But yeah, take care. That's my review. Too Fast, Too Furious. Take care. I'm out. Peace. Bye bye.